Beat Making Basics.
What's going on YouTube? It's Ever J Music, owner of Beat Making Basics, where we teach producers and composers how to make beats the easy way in GarageBand and Logic Pro 10. In today's video, I wanted to be sharing about something called sidechain compression. All right, I'm gonna say it again, sidechain compression. Maybe you're a producer or a composer out there that's heard about this before, and you've maybe even watched some videos on it before, but I'm gonna thoroughly explain it. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know how to use sidechain compression the right way and easily. Okay, so let's just talk about what compression does first. Now, basically, what a compressor does is any sounds that are going above a certain level, it pushes those sounds down, and any sounds that are, like, say, low in the mix, it pushes those up. It's kind of like, imagine getting a sandwich from Subway and you're trying to fit a bunch of different items in that sandwich. You got your lettuce, tomatoes, you got your meats, your cheeses, you know, sauces and everything, and the sandwich is really big, right? You're trying to fit it in this wrapper. Well, what someone would do is they would take all the lettuce, tomatoes, and everything, stuff it in the sandwich, and then kind of take their hands and push that down and compress it, or smash that so that it fits now well in that in the sandwich wrap. Same thing with a compressor, except it's doing it with the sound waves, right? It's taking everything, all those different nuances and frequencies and everything in the sound wave, and it's compressing it. It's smushing those sounds. And usually when you have a compressor on an instrument, what happens is that instrument sounds a little bit more fuller. It even comes out hitting better. Now with sidechain compression, what that's going to do is you're going to have one instrument that's going to be triggering a compressor, okay, to compress another instrument whenever, say, it hits in the track. So an example of this would be, or the most common example would be, using a sidechain compressor on a bass instrument, so like a low ending sounding bass, and using the kick drum to trigger the compressor on the bass. Now, why this is done is sometimes, I don't know if you ever played a bass sound and it's kind of really drowning out the whole mix. You can't really hear your kick drum popping through, or even snare or anything like that. Then sidechain compression can help this, because what it's going to do is every time your kick drum hits, all right, where we put the sidechain compression on it, it's going to lower the volume or compress the bass sound. All right. Another example, real life example, would be like this, like with a sidechain compressor. You have a boxer that they're practicing, right? There's this big, huge boxing bag. It's about, big, like life-size boxing bag, right, that you're hitting. And every time that boxer punches that boxing bag is going to dip, or it's going to move. And based on how hard or soft you hit that boxing bag is going to be how hard or soft that dip is going to be with that punching bag. So same thing with sidechain compression. Hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and jump into how to actually do it. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead. This is a beat I'm dropping on my website, ukiahbeats.com. It's called Diamonds. It'll be for lease and sale and everything like that. But what you can do is you can add a compressor on the actual bass sound that you're trying to use, and then trigger the kick drum, so that every time the kick drum hits, that bass dips. So this is what the bass sound sounds like. All right, pretty dope, right? Now this is the kick drum. I'm gonna play it before without it. All right, now let's listen to it with the bass drum, or the bass sound. So, you can still kind of hear the kick drum pretty good. You can definitely hear the bass sound pretty well. I really need to rename this. I'm just going to rename it now. All right. usually what most people would do to try to get around this is maybe turn the bass sound down, right? So then you can still hear the kick. But what happens now is you're not really getting the full essence of that bass sound. So what we're going to do is, to get around that, is go ahead and put a sidechain compressor or sidechain compress this bass sound. So let's go ahead and get into it. What you're going to do is go ahead and go to the bass track, okay? Make sure it's selected. Then what you're going to do is go over here and select a compressor. In Logic Pro 10, you can go to your dynamics, go to compressor, stereo. All right. And so what you're going to do here is, once that's selected, you're going to go up here to the top where it says sidechain and scroll down to wherever your kick is. If your kick is in the audio track, you're going to find it here. Right now I'm using the instrument track. So I'm going to go down to instrument, okay, and I'm going to go down to my kick. All right, so now this is the instrument track, which is going to be equaling out to this kick. And now, based on how I affect the threshold, the ratio, the attack, and the release, is going to be based on how hard or soft that kick's going to be punching through that bass sound. So let's talk a little bit about attack, okay? With a kick drum, you want the attack to be pretty fast. So usually, you can play around with it some depending on the type of kick that you're using. But anywhere between this 5 and 0, that's what I would recommend keeping it at. I'm just going to turn it all the way down. Also, simultaneously, when it comes to the release, since the kick drum is such a, quick sound, you don't want to have a long extended release. So you're not going to really hear the effect on it. So you want to have a release that's pretty quick, but also pronounced pretty well. So I would say probably midway or a little under midway to even a very quick release. The threshold, you're going to want to set a kind of a lower amount. You're going to want to play with it. The higher the threshold, you're not going to really hear the effect there. You know what I'm saying? And then the ratio is going to be how much of that kick drum is going to be punching through. Okay. So let me just kind of play around. I'm going to let you listen to it, and I'm going to play around with some of these knobs. I'm going to go ahead and take these on up here so you can kind of hear it before and after, right? So I'm just going to push this all the way over here, push this there, push this there, push this there, and you're going to listen to it before and after. Notice this is not moving at all, right? So when I put this ratio to about 3/1, and I'm going to turn this attack down to a super quick attack, which is 0. You can even put it like 1.5. And say if I pull this down and pull this up some, I'm just going to let you start hearing this. Now, really, you're right, really not hearing it too much because that ratio is too high. You want the ratio to basically is going to control how hard that dip goes in your mix here. So let me just pull the ratio up to about down to 30. Now listen to it. So now that's overly compressed, but you can kind of get the vibe of what's going on. Basically, what you're hearing here is the kick drum is hitting, and every time the kick drum hits, the bass drum drops a little bit, or the bass sound drops a little bit. So let's listen to it over compressed. Yes, I mean, obviously you're going to have to adjust this based on the type of bass sound that you're using. But for most part, that's how you do sidechain compression. Now, for me on this, I want that bass sound to still be coming through, but I don't want it to be too pronounced, and I want the kick drum to be punching through a little bit better. So I'm going to turn the ratio up some. I mean, not the ratio, the threshold up some, and then maybe turn the ratio down a little bit. And if you really pay attention, I mean, it's subtle, but like if you turn that off, it makes a big difference compared to with it on. But pretty much that's what a sidechain compression is. It's basically using one instrument to trigger a compressor on another. I hope this was a good demonstration here. I mean, obviously I'm breaking some rules here by bringing that kick drum all the way up. I know y'all gonna say something about that, but again, this is just to really so you can hear what I'm talking about with sidechain compression. I'm gonna play it again one more time with just the bass sound and the kick. All right, so I appreciate y'all watching, man. If y'all want more videos like this, please let me know in the comment section. Also, make sure you share, like, comment, and subscribe again if you're new and everything like that, man. I'll see you all in the next one and appreciate you watching. Peace.